Greetings, dear subscribers and casual listeners of my channel. Have you ever thought about who Harry Potter's father really was? What if I told you he wasn't the perfect hero many imagine him to be? In today's video, you will find out the shocking truth about James Potter. For Harry, his parents were always a shining ideal, almost like angels in human form. And it makes sense. A boy who lost his family as a baby would naturally idealize them, especially growing up in a home where he was unloved and mistreated by the Dursleys. But what happens if we step away from childhood admiration and look at James Potter objectively? His mother Lily was kind-hearted and selfless, but James, he was far from a saint.
Why do I say this? Let me prove it to you.
James Potter was born into a wealthy, respected wizarding family. Unlike the Malfoys or the Blacks, the Potters weren't obsessed with blood purity, but they still valued their lineage. James, however, broke tradition by marrying Lily, a Muggle-born witch, something his ancestors never did. At Hogwarts, James became a Gryffindor, excelling in Quidditch and surrounding himself with a close-knit group of friends, Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, and Peter Pettigrew. He was popular, talented, and full of confidence. He passed his exams effortlessly, relying more on natural ability than hard work. After Hogwarts, he and his friends joined the Order of the Phoenix, fighting against Voldemort. He faced the Dark Lord multiple times, always escaping with his life, until the fateful night when Voldemort came for his son. That night, James was the first to fall. But was he really the noble hero everyone remembers? The truth is, James Potter had flaws that cannot be ignored. He was a troublemaker. At school, James and his friends were notorious pranksters. They caused mischief, spied on classmates, and pulled stunts that often went too far. Even Lily found him arrogant and immature at first. He was arrogant. James took pride in his skills and pure-blood heritage. He never had to struggle for anything, and he wasn't shy about reminding others of that. He even mocked Vernon Dursley, Lily's sister's husband, for his Muggle interests. He bullied Severus Snape. And here's the biggest stain on his legacy, the relentless bullying of Severus. James humiliated him in front of the entire school, knowing full well that Severus was deeply in love with Lily. James Potter's arrogance wasn't just a personality quirk, it shaped the way he treated others. He was used to getting what he wanted, and when he didn't, he found a way to take it anyway. This was especially true in how he pursued Lily Evans. At first, she wanted nothing to do with him. She saw through his charm and confidence and called him out for his childish behavior. James, however, didn't take rejection seriously. Instead of reflecting on why Lily disliked him, he tried to impress her through even more reckless stunts. His confidence bordered on entitlement. He assumed she would eventually fall for him simply because he was James Potter, the most talented and popular Gryffindor in their year. It wasn't until much later, when James finally matured, that Lily gave him a chance. By then, he had calmed down, at least in her presence. But did that erase years of arrogance and bullying? Many would argue it did not. His treatment of Severus Snape was the darkest mark on his character. James had everything: friends, talent, a bright future, while Severus had nothing. He was poor, socially awkward, and spent most of his time alone. Instead of ignoring him, James made him a target. He mocked Severus, humiliated him, and made sure everyone at Hogwarts knew who was in control. It wasn't just teasing, it was public humiliation. James once dangled Severus upside down in front of the entire school, exposing him for all to see. Severus wasn't just embarrassed, he was broken. The worst part was that James did it with a smile, enjoying every second of Severus's suffering. Some say it was just schoolboy rivalry, but the truth is, James had all the power. He was popular. He had friends who laughed along with him. Severus had no one. Even Lily, his only friend, couldn't always protect him.
And what was James's reasoning for his cruelty? He claimed that Severus was involved in the dark arts. That might have been true, but let's not forget, James himself was no saint. He illegally became an animagus just to sneak around the castle. He bullied others for sport. He believed he was above the rules simply because he was talented enough to get away with it.
Yet somehow, history remembers him as a hero. His transformation into a better person is often credited to Lily's influence. But does changing for one person make someone truly good? James learned to control his arrogance around Lily, but there's no real evidence that he ever apologized to Severus. No moment where he showed true remorse for his actions. He simply moved on with his life as if his past didn't matter. Some believe that because he fought against Voldemort, it erases his past mistakes. But being on the right side of a war doesn't mean a person is without fault. Even his sacrifice, as noble as it was, raises questions. James wasn't given a choice that night. He didn't step in front of Voldemort willingly. He had no wand and no way to fight back. His death was inevitable, not a grand act of heroism. He didn't die protecting Harry because he planned to. He died because he had no other option. And what if things had gone differently? What if James had survived that night, but Lily had not? Would he have been a good father? Would he have changed completely, leaving behind his arrogance and cruelty? Or would he have struggled, unprepared for a life where he was no longer the center of attention? The truth is, we will never know. James Potter is remembered as a tragic figure, a young father who died before he had the chance to prove himself. But does that mean we should ignore the person he was before his death? Perhaps James would have grown into a truly great man. Perhaps he would have made amends for the harm he caused. But what we do know is that the James Potter of Hogwarts was far from perfect.
And that's a truth many choose to forget.